Welcome to Papa's Workshop. In today's video, I'm finally able to get the cabinet and the vanity top out of the shop and install it. And I want to show you a few little tricks along the way on how to deal with a wall that is not plumb and not square. Let's get started. I want to give a very special thank you to all of my Patreons who help to support this channel. Your support is absolutely fantastic and greatly appreciated. Before we can set this cabinet, of course we got to be able to clean the floor and make sure that there's no sawdust, dirt, or any type of debris on the floor. And this is a brand new ceramic tile that have just recently been put down. But I'm going to tell you ahead of time, this wall is not plumb and not square. It takes two of us to be able to get this cabinet into this bathroom. There's not a lot of extra room. It's a tight fit. But with two of us working together, we was able to get the vanity into the bathroom and slid into place. And of course, this is where we noticed that the wall was not square to the adjacent wall, and it certainly was not plumb. The good thing is though, the cabinet is level, the floor was level, and that is one good thing. I don't have to worry about trying to fix that. The only thing I need to be able to do, though, is work out the problem with the wall itself. First thing, let's go ahead and find out where the studs are, and I'm going to go ahead and mark those locations. And that way I know where to be able to screw this cabinet to the wall once we get everything exactly positioned the way that we want it. Now there's a lot of different types of stud finders out there on the wall, and this just happens to be the one that I have, and it works pretty well for being an old stud finder. Granted, if you want to be able to look at all the different modern ones that are out there on the market, go ahead and take a look. But bottom line is, you do need to have a stud finder of some type to be able to locate the studs in the wall. And of course, there's one right at the end that really doesn't do me any good at all. Now, because this wall is not square, I needed to be able to add a shim to the wall. And I'll just have a little scrap piece of wood that is going to be the right thickness, and I'm just going to tack it to the wall. That way I don't have to worry about it dropping and falling down behind the cabinet. That's never a fun thing when that happens. Here's a close-up look at the shim with it being in place and the cabinet back into its position. You can see there on the right, it's up tight against the wall, and on the left, it's about 3/8 of an inch out. Now the good thing is, this wall is actually plumb. It's the other wall that's a big difference. That's a 1/2 inch at the bottom and nothing at the top. So here's the setup. I need to be able to cut that piece of wood tapered from this thickness right here and down to the other end, down to really 0. I also have to account for the blade width. The whole key to this easy setup is that this board must be wider than the boards that I'm working with. Now this is nothing more than a clamp. I could have used a smaller piece of wood, but that's what I had. And this piece is going to be perfect. That matches the face frame that I have on the cabinet. Now this first little mark is the actual thickness that I need, plus the 1/8 inch for the blade width. Down at the other end, this tapers down to 0, but I have to account for the blade width. So this will cut all the way to nothing. This type of setup doesn't get any easier to be able to allow you to make perfect tapers. Just to make sure that this board does not slide at all, I went ahead and put a screw in here at the end. So as I'm cutting that, and you get the forward pressure on this, it'll be pushing against the screw and it will not move. Just a little added safety precaution. The setup at the table saw is very, very easy. This fence needs to be set to the thickness of this wood. This will make a nice, clear, straight path all the way down on this side, riding against the fence. And this side will go right up against the edge of the blade. So you can see exactly how that's going to be. All I need to do now is raise the blade high enough to be able to cut through this material. With this simple jig set up this way, it's very safe to be able to use the table saw to be able to cut it. This whole jig acts as one single piece, and that's the beauty of this system. Now I have a video that I have posted actually a couple of years ago where I show this jig in detail. But this is something that I do every single time that I need to be able to cut a taper. This is by far the simplest method I have ever found. Now, right out of the table saw, you can see the thickness down here, and then this tapers perfectly all the way down to the other end where it's 1/8 of an inch wide. And that's exactly what I wanted to be able to have happen. I wanted a little bit of thickness down here at this end, and my corresponding 1/8 of an inch is added down here. So this is a perfect taper that was very easy and very safe to be able to do. I went ahead and used some CA glue by Starbond and some wood glue to be able to secure this in place. With the strip in place now, and there's no nails in this because nails more than likely would split the wood. It's just simply held on with the glue, and that is it. Now just slide the cabinet back over in place, and I can go ahead and secure it to the wall with the cabinet screws. And I already had marked the location for the studs, so this is a very easy process just to screw those screws into the wall. There was only 2 studs that were behind this cabinet, therefore I'm only putting in the 2 screws, and that's really all that's necessary to be able to hold this cabinet in position. The other method to be able to hold it is the countertop itself, and with the silicone and with the liquid nail, it's going to hold this in position perfectly. This is the result of that little strip that I added, and that gives you a perfect fit all the way down. Now the next thing, I just went ahead and set the countertop on just as a dry fit to make sure that it would work. And now I'm adding the liquid nail because the countertop fit perfectly. The liquid nail or silicone works just fine for this application. And this will hold the cabinet top in position without fail, and it's going to be there rock solid for years to come. The time has come to finally put the countertop in place for its final time. I don't have to move it anymore. I do want to double check just one last time to make sure that it is level, and it is. That is great. Of course, I want to check it in both directions just to make sure, because if there's any need for shims, now is the time to put them in, but it wasn't necessary. I also want to test fit the backboard just to make sure that I don't need to trim it, because remember, in the shop I had made it long, and because that wall was so far out of plumb, that little extra length was perfect. Now that side piece will need to be cut, so I'm just going to measure and cut that at the miter saw. But in the meantime, since the long piece of the backsplash works perfectly, might as well use some liquid nail and go ahead and install that now. No reason to wait. And I'm so excited. This is really coming together and it's looking great. Oh yeah, and we've got a dog that came in to visit too. Now I used a liquid nail to be able to hold this backsplash and the countertop into position. I could have just as easily used a silicone. Either holds extremely well. At the miter saw, I went ahead and cut this other short piece of the backstop, and you also notice I've taped the ends on it where I'm cutting, just to make sure that nothing splits out. I don't want any chips on this epoxy at all. So I went ahead and took the extra safety measure to be able to put the tape on it, just to give a little extra insurance. And look at the finish. This is absolutely perfect. There's no chip out at all, and it looks great. And I have the dog's approval too. Now I'm going to add the liquid nail to this piece, and it can be pushed right into place. I do actually like to add the little extra bit of the glue just to make sure that it can spread around and it has good adhesion. And then it just slide it over, push it into its position, and guys, that's it. This is not a difficult task at all. And I really like how the grain actually blends from the countertop itself and goes right up into the backsplash. This turned out to be absolutely beautiful. It looks like natural stone, and that was the whole idea. It's time now. Let's go ahead and add the silicone, and that's what the joints need to look like. To be able to accomplish that, the easiest method I have found is to use the tape and to create that little slot, and then I can just go ahead and use the caulk gun and put that caulking right into position and not have to worry about caulking going all over the wall or all over the countertop itself. This is just so easy. And when you finish putting the caulk in, you just simply remove the tape and you're left with an absolute perfect joint. I pull this tape off immediately after I put the silicone in. I do not wait for that silicone to dry. Now I have the backsplash done on the left. I'm going to do the same exact thing. Now there was a little bit of flaw in the way I put that caulking in, so the old wet finger trick works great also. So keep that in mind. And now that I have that perfect joint, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tape. Now the tape did not tear. I put the tape down in several different pieces, and that made it much more manageable to be able to put the tape on perfectly straight. So it does not have to be one long piece of tape. Work it in little sections if that's what you need to be able to do, because I have found that's far easier to be able to work with than one long piece. I'm repeating the same process now for this top section where the backsplash meets the wall, and again I'm just using the old wet finger trick because I didn't quite like the way it looked. And this now creates that perfect joint. Get the tape off of it and we can see the end results. This bathroom has gone through a total remodel. Everything has been replaced, even down to the sheetrock itself was removed and new was added. I'm going to go ahead and put some photos of the remodel here at the end of this video just to show you some of the steps that we went through. Because this bathroom was gutted all the way down to the bare bones, and now it's really coming together. This cabinet is going to be the corner piece and it looks great. A little bit of the history as promised. This is where we had torn out everything. The tub just went in. Looking at this wall, we want to be able to knock a hole in this wall and put a door that leads into the master bedroom. And we wanted to have a quick look to see where it would fit and if it would fit because of the slope of the roof. Electrical outlets that we needed to move and verify that the power was off first. Then it was simply a matter of rerouting the wire, adding a new plug on the bathroom side, and reconnecting a plug in a different location on the bedroom side. The new location for the door has been located, and now the fun part. We got to cut out the sheetrock. We also have to cut out the studs and create that opening. Well, here we go. We're cutting all the sheetrock out and getting ready to knock a hole into the bedroom for our new door. And here comes that sheetrock down. It gives one good push, and I think I'm going to have to actually grab it just to help out a little bit to pull this down. Now we get to finish cutting out the last of the studs, added back the new electrical, and added in the new door. I'm going to continue to update the progress of this. I just wanted to give you just a little sneak peek into the happenings in the shop. Thank you for watching the video today, and I hope you're able to learn a few of my tips and tricks that you can use in your projects. I also wanted to give you just a little bit of the behind the scenes sneak peek as to what was going on with this complete remodel of the bathroom. So until next time, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the future videos that I'm uploading. Again, I want to say thank you for watching today, and I'm glad that you're able to follow along with the progression of this particular project. I'm very happy the way this countertop and the cabinet itself has turned out, so stay tuned for more.